Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. Today's discussion is how can I tell what is hurting my marriage? Welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and the discussion today is very important. How can I tell what is hurting my marriage? This is a question that comes up a lot, to be honest with you, because people are frustrated. Oftentimes we get a request, even in the comments below, where someone says, I'm doing everything I can for my husband, or I'm doing everything I can for my wife, and I still don't know what the heck is going on. How can I tell what's really hurting my marriage? And it's a very good question, and I'm going to give you a large answer, something that has context. Why? Because traditional marriage help, the traditional marriage counselors, the whole industry of marriage help is rooted in Western psychological thinking, which is fine, but it's a dig into what's going on, find out what's going on, and fix it. But it doesn't really apply to marriage. So let's start with why you need something that is more applicable. Okay? If I hired the best carpenter in the world to fix my automobile, he might take a stab at it. He may even use some of the logic that he has as a carpenter, but he really isn't set up to help my car. And Western psychology, which is focused on the mind, doesn't take into account what is actually the most critical attribute of our marriage, which is love. Why did you marry your wife? Why did you marry your husband? I wasn't a Western psychologist when I started helping marriages. And that's usually how they do it. Someone goes through Western psychological training and then they decide, okay, I'm going to try and be a marriage counselor. And they study. They may not have even been married ever, but they study it and they still don't understand. So what is the point that they're missing? Well, I was a divorce mediator. I had no idea what helped marriages. In fact, at that time, and this was until 2001. So at this point, it's almost 25, 26 years ago, right? At that point, I actually believed in divorce. I didn't understand how a marriage could be helped. And I was previously married to someone else. And we went to the best marriage counselors you could find in San Diego, which you would think are the best, next to Los Angeles maybe, or New York City, but they're really good, and they didn't help us. I couldn't understand it. So I came to the conclusion that there's a point in time where you just part from each other and you try to do it as amicably as possible, and you try not to destroy the kids, but you will, and you move on. And the problem is this. They focus on, okay, are you mistreating each other? Are you able to negotiate well? These are business ideas. These are not marriage ideas. You got married because you fell in love. Now, when you fell in love, it wasn't a love that was up here. It wasn't of the mind. It was of the heart. And in Western psychology, that's considered an abstract thought. They don't even acknowledge the spiritual aspect of love, and love is purely spiritual, which is that it transcends the mind. The mind is a wonderful computer, very complex, and it really does help to understand it psychologically to achieve something. But to achieve love, we don't go into the mind because love is not in the mind. In fact, and you know this by your own experience, I'm going to bring this up to you in a way where you can relate to it. Your mind bites you when you're experiencing love. Think about when you very first experienced love with who is now your soulmate. Right away, the mind jumped in and started giving a psychological context around it. It didn't move out of the way of the love. Now, when we have sexual relations with each other, we try to move the mind out, and if we're even a little bit successful, then we feel real love. And that's one of the grand purposes of having intercourse, is that we are able to open our hearts and not bring our mind into the situation. Now, so many people are sexually dysfunctional because they're of the belief that it's all in the mind. Well, maybe sex is, but love is not. And when we make love to our spouse, we want it to be pure. We want the love, the heart to be opened up. So if you're not understanding what's wrong with your marriage, why are you having problems here, and you really can't put your finger on it, it's because you're not looking in the right place. Here's what I suggest, and I hope you take this very seriously. Number one is start seeing your marriage differently. Stop seeing your husband or your wife as a business partner or as your roommate or housemate, because that's what's happening, and it crept in there subconsciously. Instead, remind yourself, this is my soulmate. I love them. And then you have to remove a part of your mind that really, really gets in the way of love. Can you guess what that is? It's expectations. You see, in the world, we're trained to not only have expectations, but to expect our expectations to be fulfilled, because we live in a very material, business-oriented world. So if we pay the repairman to come and fix the hot water heater, we have an expectation that it'll be done at a reasonable cost. We won't have to replace the whole thing. They can fix it. Usually you do have to replace it, especially if it's past warranty. But what you really want to do with your soulmate, your spouse, is move the expectations out of the way. And when they come up, just put them aside. Now, I discuss this combat going on between the mind and you, because you are a soul, you have a mind, in great detail, plenty detail in the books that I've written, Lessons for a Happy Marriage. And you ought to really go to Amazon and see all the reviews for my books, because it tells you everything about them, it tells you how they work. So Lessons for a Happy Marriage is one of the books. The other book that I have is Breaking the Cycle. I wrote that one specifically so I could train marriage counselors and therapists into what have to be considered the new teachings of marriage altogether. So if your marriage is super struggling, then we have something for you as well. And that is an online course. It depends on whether you're male or female, because you have to get the one that is suited to your gender. And there's very deep and realistic reasons for that. I mean, just a common sense example is that if you're a woman, you already know how women think, but you don't really understand men. And so in the women's course that's online, and it's very reasonably priced, you learn more about men than you've ever known. It would have helped if you had a sibling who's a male, because then you'll be able to relate to it better. But even without that, I'll help you understand men much better so that, you're not always getting triggered. Now, men have the same problem. Men, probably worse, men don't understand women at all. And so they don't take care of their wives. If you're a man, you're not taking care of your wife the way you should. And you could ask me, what am I doing that's hurting my marriage? And I could tell you right off the bat what you're doing. Number one is you're getting angry. And women don't have a good tolerance for anger. It doesn't really work for them because we're there to protect women, not to push them around. And you might say, well, I don't ever do that. But you don't realize the power of your anger. Even if you get angry in front of her towards someone else, she'll be impacted by it. And her reaction to that, because there's a lot of psychophysiology, and I get into all of this in the courses, her psychophysiological drive will be to recede. And that hurts your marriage big time. Now, some men think, well, what hurts my marriage maybe is that I want to have sex and she doesn't want to have sex, and that's really not fair. What do I do? That's a conundrum. Yeah, it would be a conundrum if that were true. But what isn't true is that she doesn't want to have sex. What is true is that you're approaching it completely incorrectly. And of course, you need to really learn about marriage and learn about your wife and about yourself in order to pull this off. Now, I don't blame anybody. Our approach is blameless. We don't do that because what we're trying to do is achieve, and I know it's possible because I'm living it, and many, many, many thousands of the people who have taken our course or read one of my books has achieved this level of happiness in their marriage that they literally didn't think was possible. There's a reason for that. We don't get married with an appreciation for what we need to do after the wedding vows are exchanged. We don't know. Most people think it's like a ride at Disneyland. Oh, now we're married, everything is going to be wonderful. And it is supposed to be. In fact, the way marriage is designed, and it is designed, it's not accidental. It's designed to produce joy and love in quantities you've never even imagined. To this day, I'm experiencing that. And it just gets better and better and better. But if I didn't know how, I couldn't say that. You have to get educated. And unfortunately, the way we get educated about marriage is usually, to be honest with you, by watching sitcoms, watching movies, speculating, reading stupid articles, and that sort of thing. And we have no idea. We have no idea. You cannot learn how to be married from TikTok. It's not possible. And you can't even learn how to be married by watching my videos. You get a taste for it, but that would be like saying, I'm going to do videos on how to fly a plane. You think that you can watch 20, 30, or 100 videos and get it? No, it has to be explained to you step by step. And that's what I do. There's teachings to marriage. Marriage is not some whimsical thing. It really isn't. Now, if you have a question that's a little bit off a topic of what we've been discussing, there's a link below for Ask a Counselor. If you want my feedback, then put your question in the comments below and I will answer it. I take a lot of time to respond to people in the comment section because we're here to help. I don't have to do this. I'm well past retirement age. I know it's hard to tell, but I am, and I'm doing this as a service. I feel like I've discovered, marriage, and this new approach to marriage is amazing, and I want you to experience it. I want your family to be intact forever. I don't want you to ever consider leaving each other or fighting anymore. I want all of that to be in the past and you don't even remember it. That's my mission. So by all means, leave a comment, maybe you could share this with somebody else who needs it or on social media. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. I created these teachings to be of service to you. I'm so glad you stopped by, and come by again. God bless you. Take care.